Hi, welcome back in Glenn channel. I'm Jackie.
And I'm her husband, Glenn.
Yeah, my husband Glenn.
Hey, before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of our interviews or reviews. In this case, we're interviewing today Alexis from season 15 of Married at First Sight. Yes. Alexis, how are you doing this evening?
I am growing and glowing. That's my new phrase. I am blessed and I'm having a great day. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for accepting the invitation. Thanks for being here. We followed you throughout the season of Married at First Sight. I appreciate watching you those 8 weeks. Well, it's been longer than that on TV, but yeah, longer than that. But we appreciate joining you. But we thank you for accepting the invitation. And before we even get into Married at First Sight, we see one thing on camera, but who is Alexis? Where is Alexis from? What did Alexis like growing up? Who is Alexis?
Thank you for asking, because I don't think many people even ask that. But I am Alexis Grace Williams. I grew up in Hamilton, New Jersey. It's near Trenton and Princeton, mid-central Jersey. So I did a lot of traveling to Philadelphia and New York because we're right in the middle. I grew up a tomboy. I still consider myself a tomboy. I've been playing basketball since I was 7 years old. Any sport that you put in front of me, I typically humbly dominate. I was captain of the lacrosse team, captain of the basketball team. I was a debutante. My mom just kind of put us into everything. We Bible study, choir rehearsal. She just always had us on go, and she wanted to give us the life that she didn't necessarily have. And I really appreciate it. I'm the youngest of 3 girls. I am very spicy. I have a master's degree in mental health counseling. I got that because of my father. My father has Asperger's, and just kind of not understanding what's going on in the culture of Black families, of whatever happens in this house stays in this house. As soon as I got the opportunity to figure out, like, no, we can't just keep it like this. I wanted to kind of break generational curses. And I thought becoming a mental health counselor and giving back to little girls that look like me, little boys that look like me, people that look like me, could help bring some of that. So that's Alexis.
Yeah, so you mentioned you as a tomboy. How, not growing up with brothers, did you become a tomboy? Getting involved in basketball, we know that you played football a little bit. So what, how did you get involved in all those?
Because my dad wanted a boy. my dad wanted to try until he got a boy, and my mom's like, "You ain't carrying these babies," so that's it. My sister was supposed to be a boy, but false alarm. And then they had me, and my mom was just like, "Look, Scott, we ain't having no boys." So he was like, "Okay, so my girls aren't going to be any like soft, pretty little frilly girls." Like, my mom tried to keep us that part of us with our fashion and everything we did. That's why she made us become debutantes. But it was a pretty big balance to where I may have been prom queen and all that stuff, but I was also on the basketball court. I was also in the mud in the backyard. We were also up all night going to camps. Traveled to every state in the U.S. playing basketball. Like, it was a big thing. So it was, frankly, because my dad wanted boys.
Got you. You say you're from Hamilton, New Jersey. So how did you end up on the West Coast for Married at First Sight?
My job took me here. So it was kind of just, I'm a rolling stone of some sorts, a nomad. So it was like, I want to live here, so I'll go there. I want to live here, so I'll go there. So I found a job here, so I'm here.
Got you. How was dating life like? You mentioned on the show that you was flipping through apps and different things. How did you end up on Married at First Sight?
The apps were, I don't like monotony. I don't like the same thing where it's just like, okay, start a conversation, goes nowhere, do it again. Like, it got tiresome. And I think that since people are so accessible through the apps, you're not as committed. You don't really care, because if this person says no, you could get right back on the app and find somebody by tonight. So I don't know. Apps were weird for me because I like meeting people in person, but during COVID, that wasn't an option. So dating was kind of ghetto. I didn't really like it. So when I saw the opportunity to get married at first sight, I was like, yes, let's do this.
So you said when you saw the opportunity to be married at first sight, were you a fan of the show before?
No, I'd never even seen an episode.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I probably should have. In retrospect, I should have watched it before, so I knew what I was getting myself into. But that's how, I
Mm-hmm.
guess I stayed authentic, because I really did not know. I had no idea.
Right.
You mentioned on the show, I think it's a casting special, that you had gone through 3 proposals.
Yeah.
How come you didn't follow through? What made each one different, that you didn't follow through the proposals that you went through or asked?
I think in retrospect, it's settling. I have a fear of settling. I have a fear of commitment in the extent, like, I want to be married. I want to settle down. I want to have, but I always took it for granted. I took people for granted. I took opportunities for granted. I would never leave well enough alone in the past. It was just like, oh, I always imagined my man to do this and do this. And although he may check 7 out of the 10 boxes, I still want those 3 boxes, you know? So it was me. It was me.
You actually touched on what I was going to say. I said, for women, I can't speak for men, but I think that's what happens with women a lot of times. We're trying to check all these boxes, and when they're not all checked, nope, next, no, thank you. And yeah, you kind of, well, I guess that's going into the show a little bit. I don't want to jump ahead of you, but did you find out? I feel like this show will kind of reveal to you, like, if it works out, or even if it doesn't, the non-negotiables, like, I might be able to bend on this, I'm not going to bend on that, or it's okay if he doesn't check all the boxes, I'm good with 10 out of 12.
Yeah, I think I jumped to the extreme. I think I went from a fear of settling and commitment to I'm going to commit no matter what, you know, because I wanted to kind of prove that old Lexi wrong. Like, okay, you know, we're stepping up. We're past that. And I think I went too far to the latter end.
Got you. So when we get, you went through the process, you go through the whole process of Married at First Sight. They visit you. When did you really, like, you know what, I'm really in this thing. Like, this thing is really getting ready to happen. When you realized it was getting ready to happen, what were you feeling? The emotions that you was going through, and how did your family receive that their baby girl is about to get married to somebody that you don't know?
Okay, so I honestly did not. It didn't hit me until I was about to walk down the aisle. That's why y'all saw that boohoo scene. that was somebody said my cry could wake the dead. Yeah, that was all real, because that's when it actually hit me. I don't typically experience anxiety or embarrassment. Those aren't feelings that are familiar to me. So when I was just like, oh my gosh, like, it finally set in, it hit me like a brick, because these are unknown feelings to me. Prior, I told my mom very early on, like, as soon as I applied, like, very first application, I told my mom, because I know she didn't imagine this lifestyle for a little girl. So I tried to, like, wean her into it, because it's like a year-long process before you even get married. So I tried to wean her into it, and we came to the agreement that if she prayed and for whatever reason I didn't make it through, then it wasn't for me. But if I did make it through, I consider myself one of God's favorites. So if I made it through, it was for me, and I made it through. So I'm like, I don't know what it's supposed to look like, Lord, but I'm here. I'm here.
Good. You know, you mentioned several times the Lord. How religious was your background growing up? You mentioned your mom. You said you left Sunday school, sing in a choir, and do all that. Mom's praying. So how much religion did you guys were you experiencing growing up?
Oh, I was raised in the church. I was raised in a church that I wasn't really growing in until I was about 13. So it was just kind of like, we go to church. Okay, go to church. Like, it was just a tradition. But then I started to go probably at 16 years old, right before I went to college. I went to this new church, and it kind of shifted my whole paradigm. It shifted my whole concept. And when I went to college, I was a double major. It was psychology and religion and philosophy. So there was a lot of times where I had to reestablish my relationship with God, and I didn't want to just be a Christian because my mama said it. You know, I had times where I was arguing with God, you know, like, I was mad. So I had to reestablish the connection on my own. And I think that's what made me have such a greater faith as it is now. So it's been a lifetime progress.
That's awesome. See, this is things that we don't get to see, that we want to dig into when it comes to Alexis, you know. So I thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so
No problem.
Much. Yeah, so we saw the boohoo when you walking down the aisle. And so when you get down the aisle and you standing there, well, when you get down the aisle and you walk in and you recognize that it was Justin, and it was the guy from the app that you swipe left on, right? what were you thinking? Like, hold on, like I already rejected this dude before. Like, how in the world of all the people in San Diego did I end up with somebody that I already swiped left on?
What you doing, God?
What you doing, God? What do you think?
I thought, I was like, I'm such a softie. I'm like, it's supposed to be. It's meant to be, you know, like, like I can't get rid of him. Now he's my husband. I genuinely thought I am supposed to be with this man because I could have been with him X amount of months. You know, like he kept reaching out. And I was like, no. Then I see him on the aisle. I'm just like, okay, let me listen to what this man got to say. So I just thought it was meant to be at that moment.
And, you know, as you guys were discussing and having a conversation, what was that initial conversation like? That first initial conversation after you said I do, after the vows, you guys sat there. How was that conversation? Was it awkward?
No, it was really surreal for me. I know Justin and I both really wanted to be married. So to be sitting in front of my husband and him sitting in front of me, I think we were both just like comfortable. I remember just like a feeling of bliss and serenity. And I felt like I was hugging him all night, but it wasn't a physical hug. It was more like a spiritual, like, I don't know. We were in each other's bubble, and that's all I saw that night was Justin. I couldn't even tell you what color of flowers was at my wedding. Until I watched it back. Like, we were recapping the night, and we couldn't tell any details because we were just so locked in with each other.
Go back real quick. What made you swipe left in the first place?
I was being superficial. He kind of looked like he was cheesy to me, you know, like he wasn't my type. If I'm being honest, it was just like me being superficial. I was looking at his pictures and I was like, not interested. Like, I like this height, but everything else, I was just like, eh.
For the cocoa melon, right?
Did I remind you? This is a good part to say I'm from New Jersey. You know, like that's our love language. We roast. Like that's how you show you like somebody by roasting.
Absolutely.
I mean, we understand that. We're in a relationship when we married. We joke all the time.
Yeah.
We joke. We constantly joking all the time. Where people be like y'all really been together 21 years, y'all joke? No, yeah, we joke. We friends. We joke on each other all the time. So I understood where he was coming from with the joking part, because that's part of some people love language. That's part of conversation. That's a part of how people interact. Become the joking part.
Relationships, yes.
Yeah, relationship. You can't joke with your spouse. I'm gonna use quotation, or the people you just met. How can you get along with anybody else? You got to be able to be able to take that.
Exactly. I treat everybody that I meet like I've known you my whole life. It's a bad habit sometimes because it makes some people so uncomfortable, but I just go right in. Like we together now and we've been together forever. So it's my thing. I don't know.
Got you. At your reception, and everybody talks about it. Everybody want to deal with it. What made you yell out to the whole crowd that this man is celibate? What made you?
It wasn't. So that's the thing. I am working on my filter and I'm just so comfortable. And like I said, I don't experience emotions of embarrassment. So I typically don't think that other people will. And I'm like, we're on a TV show. They was going to find out anyway. He said it or whatever. It wasn't like a deep thought I should tell everybody. It was oh guys, look, my man's celibate. You know, like it wasn't like a deep thing to me. And I know now that I should probably process some more things before I pass it on, but in the moment I was just like, I tell all these people here everything anyway, you know. So I don't know, it was just me being myself. I didn't think it was a embarrassing thing. I didn't think it was anything to hide. I didn't do it out of maliciousness. It was just like, oh, he's celibate, y'all. Like, I don't know.
Was your sisters feeling Justin?
No, not initially. They kept saying, I just remember them because they just want me to be happy. And I know it sounds cheesy, but my sister, I'm their baby. I'm the biggest one out of them. And they still protect me like the baby. So they just want me to be happy. They just kept saying, watch it, Lex, because they kind of got feelings that he was, my sister said, sending the representative. Like he wasn't being his authentic self. She said she felt like they met the representative. Like, that's what they kept saying. So they just kept saying, watch out. But they didn't want to kind of skew me one way or another because they know I value their opinion. So they were just like, be careful.
Did they ever kind of start feeling Justin a little bit more?
Yeah. It was just such a quick process where it was hard to kind of get a hold on somebody. Because it's like, in real life, I wouldn't even told my mom about anybody I've been dating for 8 weeks. You know, like she wouldn't even know his name. So for me to have to like, And I know how much my family cares about me. So I try to be like a filter. Like if there were things going on, I wouldn't really tell them because this is my husband now. I don't want them to hate my husband. I don't want them to be mad at my husband. So I really wasn't telling them too much. So they were really kind of just playing it from whatever Justin gave them. There was instances where, Justin proved for himself to my siblings and my parents who they were, who he was, excuse me. And that was enough. So.
You guys get ready to go on the honeymoon. The honeymoon, you and Justin, you get there the honeymoon, and you look like you're having a wonderful time. Great time on the honeymoon. How much did you enjoy the honeymoon being there?
I really enjoyed the honeymoon. That was my favorite part of the 8 weeks for sure. It was, they know how to set up a scene. They know how to put you in a place where two people can fall in love. They know how to do it. When I say they pulled out all the stops, they pulled out all the stops. It was kind of hard to step out of the honeymoon phase. It was kind of hard to see beyond that because it's so much. You feel the rush. You just married a stranger. You're on a TV show. You're in a nice resort on an island. Like, life's good. So I had a great time.
So that brings us to a revelation on the reunion. Mm-hmm. When we find out that y'all actually consummated earlier than it looked like on the show. Do you think how much of that do you think was, like you said, they set it up real nice? You could fall in love easy, and you meet this person, like you said, at the reception, you so caught up in each other, you're not seeing anything else. And it's like, then they put you in this space, is like, is it the romanticized? It's just like, this is what happens. This is, how did that happen? It happens, but
so I would not say, and wow, this is a hill that I plan to die on.
Go ahead and die on your hill, because we're coming to your hill. Please die on your hill.
My thing is, there was a connection. So it was easy. I have no shame. I mold vaginas. I paint naked bodies. Like, I'm very appreciative of myself and where I've come from. So it wasn't like I was gonna be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to tell anybody. I didn't go in it with those intentions. It was more so like, my husband, he said he was celibate. I wanted him to be comfortable. I wanted him to be at peace. He doesn't know me, So it was more so like us just being comfortable with one another. And I think throughout the 8 weeks, that was the most comfortable that we were with one another. So yeah, it definitely was easier to attempt to get there and go there. But, things happen and they don't kind of play out, so there's that.
Yeah, that's the key word.
Attempt. That is the key word, attempt, and then don't play out. With that being said, with the attempt and not playing out, how did that affect you guys' relationship moving forward? Because, to me, it seemed like there was some tension that was always there about the sexual situation between you two. So how did that move after the attempt?
I think I've said this. You guys I don't watch the show, so I'm not sure if it was actually aired. But I said it on several occasions that I realized later that he confessed that Justin was at some point intimidated by me. Mm-hmm. So I think I may have scared him. So I think that situation kind of worked not in our favor, because it was just like, oh shoot, whatever he's feeling, it's now heightened, and it's the pressure, it's the elephant in the room. It's not just kind of natural because it did play out the way that it did. You know what I'm saying? Right. I didn't judge him in any way. I didn't pressure him. I'm not that type of person. But I do think it did play a role in our romantic physical connection.
Mm-hmm. So the intimidation also coupled with, it's been a while. He's been celibate. Like, I have anxiety, performance anxiety.
I mean, for me, it wasn't like, and I don't want it to feel like it was solely Justin. I could have been a wife. I just didn't feel like pressuring him. And, I know he didn't feel like pressuring me. So it wasn't anything to where we're just like, it's one person's fault or anything. It was just like, no, it's not right. It's not right now,
Right. Mm-hmm. And it seemed, if we skip ahead to the reunion, well, where are they now? The shot that came back to you that was blaming it was your fault. the reason that he couldn't get the erect. How did that make you feel? I mean, as a woman, how did that, how did that make you feel? Let me leave it that way.
A hit dog will holler, and I did not holler. I'm like, okay, what else you want me to do? Like, because I know my body. I do not eat meat. I drink a lot of water. Like he even said on the plane, like I was just sitting next to you and I was hard. I was doing this, and like just everything. It was just like he was talking about his meat so much. And then for you to be like, oh, it's because you're PA. I'm like, sir, let's be real. If it was true, I would have been like, oh my gosh, I would have punched in the air. I would have been acting like other people, but it wasn't. So I was just like, whatever. And if some guy who may have wanted me sees this, come find out for yourself. You can find out. That did nothing to me. I was unfazed.
Hey, there you have it. She said she was unfazed. That's the question. Unfazed didn't bother at all.
All I'm saying is come find out for yourself, because I'm still single. Like, if it's that much of a problem, I ain't got no shame.
Yeah. But you mentioned several. She's still single, so guys, go ahead and hit the DMs. Your DMs probably overflowing.
I didn't say all that now.
I'm just kidding. They're probably overflowing anyway. But we go back to that real quick. You mentioned several times of your dominancy or your dominant personality. Or somebody that dominates you in the bedroom. How hard was that to get him to realize, to understand that, you know what, and I'm dominant everywhere else. I want you to be able to take the lead or take control in this area. How many discussions did you guys have about that?
More than I could count. It's just not his personality, And you can't make, especially for us to be strangers, like a few weeks, you can't make someone into a completely new personality, like go from being passive to super dominant, especially in a physical area. That's a lot to ask. So I would tell him, I would say it several times, but in the end, it just wasn't who he was. And that's why I was like, I just don't feel like we're compatible. It wasn't that we hated each other. I think when you're checking off the boxes in compatibility, even though there's no more boxes, we're not living by that anymore. I'm speaking that right now. But anyway, when you're looking at the evidence, it's just one thing that added to why we're not compatible. It wasn't who he was. I don't want to say he couldn't do it, because he probably could. It just wasn't who he was.
I like that you said that, Alexis, because I think that's the one thing that people need to know or really understand and verbalize when you do something like Married at First Sight. And we've said that on our reviews, that this is an 8-week process. People have been these personalities, this personality type, this way for all their life before they met you. How much there can be changes in 8 weeks, but it won't be 180 degree change. And so it's unrealistic to expect that. But like you said, you realize that maybe he can get there, but in this 8 weeks, like it's a compatibility thing, Yeah,
definitely a compatibility thing. And when you look back at the honeymoon, and before we even get back to before you guys got back to San Diego, in your mindset, what were you thinking? How can I help my husband? What would you have done differently? Like how would you put Alexis more out there to make him feel more comfortable or make yourself feel more comfortable in this situation? Anything else that you think you could have done?
I genuinely do not know, because I am not a firm believer in wearing clothes, and the man said he was attracted to me, we would go out I took him on a lot of dates. I spoiled that man, he was like, okay, I'm uncomfortable with this. Okay, let's do this. I listen. That's one of my love languages that I give, acts of service. So if you say, okay, this is what I like, I bought him clothes, he's like, oh, I like your shirt. What'd you get? I got him clothes. I got him out, like everything. I was trying to support him in other areas to give him confidence in the bedroom. You get what I'm saying? Like, you my man. You're going to always be my man. We was just speaking sweet nothings. And I thought that would help and translate. Maybe in the long run, if we had more time, it may have. But from what I can see, there's nothing more that I could have done. It was a Justin thing. It wasn't an Alexis thing.
Got you. You guys get back home. You get back to San Diego, you're moving in together. And here comes the situation with Newton and Maya. How much of the Newton and Maya situation really turned you sour in the relationship with Justin?
This is such like I was actually surprised to see how much it was trying to find the correct word, focused on, because like I said, coming off the honeymoon, we were on a high. Like we were locked in. Everybody was just like, oh my gosh, you're so cute. Like, you know, everybody, it was an obvious thing that we were just on the same page. So for that to happen, it wasn't immediate, like, I hate this man and his dog and everything like that. It wasn't. Justin came with me to the vet. Justin paid for the vet. You know, Maya stayed for another week and a half before he went to his friend's house. Like, this was a thing to where it was us processing. We had a problem early on, unlike some other couples where they had it later on. Ours just happened to happen earlier. So I think that's what kind of carried the momentum of this big focus problem, when in fact we were kind of working it out and mending it out on our own. So I don't know. It wasn't crazy. Like, I know that's probably not the answer you were looking for, but it wasn't crazy like catastrophe. Like, I told him I was scared. I told him, you know, I was upset, of course, but it's not like Justin got down there and bit Newton. You know, it was his dog. He can't control that. Right. So it wasn't all that it was made to be. I'll say that.
Was it more about Newton or more about him being vague?
It was more about him being vague, for sure. Newton's a trooper. I've had him since he was 3 weeks old. He's 10 now. We've been through a lot. You know, that was his first attack, but he's been sick in other areas to where I'm just like, okay, we have that relationship to where I know Newton's going to pull through. It was more so the fact that you're a stranger. I just met you. And then after this dog that I told you is so important to me has been attacked, you're like, oh yeah, I meant to tell you that my dog has attacked 3 other dogs in the past. You know, I meant to tell you that my dog typically wears a muzzle and I probably should have put the muzzle on. You get what I'm saying? So that hurt me more, because I was just like, oh my gosh. So if you lied about this, what else you lying about? And that sets the tone for the relationship. So that's really what I was really upset about.
I gotta pause right there. Did we know about Maya having I think that was a revelation. I think did we know that Maya usually wears a muzzle?
She started wearing it. If you watch the Where Are They Now episode, he put it back on her. She was wearing it.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I saw
She's had it since before the show even started. It was just him trying to, I don't know what it was, but she typically wears a muzzle.
Wow. Because we did see it later, and I think we commented about that, like, oh, okay. But that's important information to let me know, like, why does your dog usually wear a muzzle? That's suspicious. Yeah, so she just dropped the nugget right there. He told me that. See?
He mentions it. If you pay attention, it's, you know, if you pay attention, he said it during some of the sessions with Dr. Pepper. He said that she's been in incidences before. Like he says it after the fact.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. He did mention the incidences. Yeah, but I ain't gonna get it, you know.
No, but I mean, again, that
he did downplay it.
That's why I'm just smiling and
I know that's what I was gonna say. He did downplay it and probably should have played it up.
And I could have acted more accordingly, because that's why I said, help me, help you, help us, because the less you tell me, the less I know, and I can't even help. So in this scenario, it probably would have never even happened if I would have known, you know, say, look, babe, you know, I don't know. I'm very uncomfortable with it, you know, because of this. Not just because I'm uncomfortable because dogs never met each other, whatever. I'm uncomfortable because my dog in the past has done X, Y, and Z. I'm uncomfortable because I don't even take my dog to dog parks because my dog has done X, Y, and Z. You know, I'm uncomfortable because my dog has a muzzle. You know, then I would have been like, all right, pause. I can keep Newton at Jackie's house. We can do, you know, whatever we need to do, but I didn't know any of that. So that's why I was upset.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got you. So y'all had discussed, let's meet the dogs, bring into the apartment, let's bring everybody together and to have, you know, one big family underneath one roof. And then the incident takes place and happens. And then what we see on TV is that you guys kind of had a major argument for a while, because then I think we go into the candy shop and then that becomes into a different situation for you guys. How did you get over that? How did that kind of get smoothed out with the dog and him being vague and all that? How did you guys come back to at least some kind of happy medium? I ain't say 100% medium because your trust was broken, right? How did you come back and be like, you know what? I'm going to give it another shot because you've been vague to me. You lied to me because you mentioned earlier, if you lied about the dog, what else are you lying back? How did you kind of ease that out and have a little bit more trust?
I said just that. I told him I'm very transparent. I said, this is how I'm currently feeling. If you lied to me about this, what else are you hiding? You know, and we had that conversation. It was a tough conversation to where it's just like, I'm kind of feeling like you're a liar at this point. So how do we move past this? And he was like, I'll just tell you everything. I'll overshare. You know, that's what he said. And I trusted him again. And that was it. You know, it's my husband. I was just like, look, if we're going to do this, I can't cry over the first incident, you know? So I trusted him.
So you was really, you was committed to the process.
Oh,
you was committed to the 8-week process, regardless of what will take place. I am committed to try to make this thing work.
Yes.
And so to me, that means we saw you do it at some points, but you obviously were holding back a whole lot more than we even saw, you know, from the time that, hey, Alexis, what do you have to say? You usually always have something to say in the couple setting. I'm just listening. You know, I'm obviously had to hold back more than just those settings that we saw.
I realized my husband was sensitive very early on.
Mm-hmm.
For me to be so direct and confrontational in a way, I'm going to say what I feel. And I realized that he didn't receive it that well. So when I was being quiet, that was stopping me from saying some things that I probably would have gotten in trouble for saying, you know, like that was me trying to keep the peace. Because it was just like, I tried everything else, you know, like I tried to say it nicely, you know, I've tried to not say it at all. I've tried to all these different measures, and I'm like, there might be some safety in silence. So when I was silent, I was trying to keep the sanctity of our marriage and just hide in that, I guess.
How much of that is that, and I'm going to use this term, how much of that is you being a northern girl from New Jersey area and him being from Alabama, being a southern type guy where you're more reserved, you're more pleasurable, and in New Jersey, New York, things move a little bit fast and people are straightforward. People are, hey, you stepped on my shoe today, hey, bro, what's going on? You know, those type of things. Like, what's up to somebody who's down from a southern part of the state or southern part of the country? You know, how much of the dynamic from you guys being two different places played into him being emotional and you being straightforward?
I don't want to kind of say it's where you from, because I think that's I use it sometimes. Well, I think it's kind of a cop out when you really think about it, because I have a best friend, Hassan. He was on the show. He's from Alabama too. I think it has to do with experience as well, life experiences. And Justin, I don't think had too many, based on like some of the things where he was like, I've never done that. I've never been here. Not to mean that it means anything. It's just, I think the Alabama was more in him because he hadn't experienced other personality types like myself in the past, you know? Whereas for me, it's like, okay, I can recognize that he's sensitive. I have to recognize that I can't use this tone anymore. I have to recognize that this Jersey girl does not appease everyone. Everybody's not going to like you. Everybody's not going to understand you. So for me, it was just like, yeah, I can make it because it was East Coast versus down South. But at the same time, I've lived in Atlanta and I've dated men. You know, I've lived down South to where it's just like, I don't think it's a fair cop out.
Gotcha. I want to get off Justin for a minute. We'll come back to that a little bit later because there's something that I did miss when we were talking about on the honeymoon. And that is when you found out that Justin and Ben was having conversations. And then Morgan was a little upset, you know, and then your husband cried because of Ben and Justin's, because of the Morgan and Ben situation. How did that make you feel?
That was the first time that I saw him cry. So I was really supportive. Like, I was actually proud of him for saying his emotions and being in touch. And I felt it. I felt for him in that moment. It wasn't weird to me. It wasn't like emasculating. It wasn't anything that was like, ew. It was more so like, oh, look at him caring for others. And that was it.
You know, then we get back to the Ben and Morgan situation when you guys are back in San Diego. What made you go tell Morgan what you heard about what Ben and Justin were discussing?
So I didn't tell Morgan. That's something as well. I didn't tell Morgan. Morgan came to me and said, I know that Justin and Ben are really close, Lex, and I have these feelings that, you know, something is happening and people are acting weird around me and blah, blah, blah. And I said, girl, go talk to your husband, you know? And I kept saying, girl. And then we done had some wine later, you know, people crying, inhibitions are low. And I'm like, yes, I already knew that because he told me. Like, it was just we hurting together, honestly. And it wasn't like malicious. And Morgan will tell you that too. Like, she says, Lex, I'm so sorry that it looked that way. I was upset because of X, Y, and Z. And I was just in the moment and I said it that way and I shouldn't have said it that way. We're all good now. It is what it is. But I did not go to Morgan. Morgan came to me and said, because I know that Justin and Ben are friends and I tried everything in my toolbox. And then I was just like, you know what? Whatever. Yes, girl. I knew everything that you just told me because he also told Justin. And that also has been, you know, a different perspective. Transmuted is the word. So
yes.
I was going to say along those lines, I think as viewers and the way I'm just going to say the way the show is produced and that situation, it will have fans like us and viewers, you know, as we're watching, like, Alexis, why she had to go tell, why would she run? You know, if it made it so, even like you said, there was so much focus on the Newton and Maya situation, you know, it makes viewers walk away like, how did that make you feel when the show came on? And, you know, I don't know, do you read comments? Did you watch people?
I don't watch the show. I watched the wedding episode. I watched the reunion. I watched highlight episodes. I think I watched the prom. I don't read comments because I just don't believe that strangers have the right to tell me about who I am when I work so hard to become who I am. But I did see a clip of Morgan saying, Justin came to me, and Alexis came to me and whatever. I saw the clip on the MAFS page and I was just like, Morgan, what is up with that? And she texted me, I'm the receipts queen. I got screenshots saying, I'm so sorry. I was upset in that moment. I'm going to try and clear it up, but it is what it is. I'm in control of me. I'm in control of my feelings and my emotions. And the minute that I give somebody my power and let them control me being angry, upset, and sad, I lose that control. And that's not something I'm interested in doing. So I'm good.
Not to get too deep in the Morgan and Ben situation. Please was it much more than just the BSN situation or the BSN, the nursing?
Oh yeah, it was. It was a lot more.
Okay, just wanted to know it was much more than that, because the way it was as if it was just the fact that he didn't believe that she was a nurse. So we just wanted to make sure there was much more.
No, it was a lot more.
And do you think, as a group, you guys were you giving her, I don't want to say give her a pass the way that she reacted and responded to him, and because the mild mannered Ben that came off. I had
no idea Morgan wild out like that. When I tell you, Morgan is a secret agent in my eyes, because she was just like, yeah, guys, I was upset. We checked in and I had no idea it was Rose's throne. I didn't know she wild out like that. So when Kristen had told me, like, Lex, yeah, I was just like, oh, like, that's when I really, like, we didn't know until the show came out that it was that deep. We thought it was just Morgan upset, she's done, the end. We had no idea it was the extent that it was.
I absolutely did get that impression, because I was like, I couldn't imagine a group of girls, and of course you're hearing it from her side, when y'all had to sit down in the apartment, and I'm a ride for my girl, we in this process. But I figured, if y'all knew, like, she went off like that, like, wait a minute, now sis.
Yeah. Because that's one thing. I'll never judge the rest of my castmates because of what we've been through together. We kind of like trauma bonded through these 8 weeks. So it's never a place for us to say holier than thou, because we all responded differently. Right. But I will say I was shocked. I was like, dang, Morgan, like, yikes. So we didn't know. We did not know.
Right. Thank you for that.
That's thanks for clearing that that is up. That's something that the viewers that we want to like, hey, like everybody don't know that she wild out like that. Like it's like she really wild out, and no one's kind of checking her about her wilding out. Like no one's saying anything about her just going off on my man.
So that's the thing. We had like the wives had sessions together and the husbands had sessions together. So whatever the wives told us, that's what we thought the story was.
Right.
Whatever the husbands told the husbands, that's what they thought the story was.
Right.
There was rare occasions where we all got down and sat. Like when we were having group sessions, it was about ourselves. It wasn't really about everybody at the table. Like, you get what I'm saying? Yeah. So we never really had a chance to kind of confront the truth of anybody else's relationship because we were held so separately.
Got you. You did confront the truth one time though.
Yeah.
With my man Mitch. You
yes, I did.
You confronted the truth one time with Mitch about the way that he treated your girl Kristen.
Or Stasha's other name for him, which we won't say.
Yeah. Look, we can go.
Kevin okay, so this is the thing.
Mitch. Kevin Hartnell said he was a Mitch. He was acting like a Mitch. So, what made you go that route with Mitch that night, where Kristen was highly upset, and you like, yo, you did say she wasn't attractive.
So I went hard with Mitch twice. I'm probably jumping the gun.
What?
So we're talking about the Poolgate one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Poolgate.
Let me recall. Oh, I was actually proud of Mitch on that day because he was saying, like, I was like, I'm proud that you got past it, you know? And I had no idea that she had talked to her sister about something completely different. Mm-hmm. It was more so me like, dang, Mitch, you came a long way. I was trying to give Mitch his flowers in that opportunity because I'm just like, you came a long way. You said that at some point that you weren't attracted to her. You told us that. But now look at you, you know? And I really thought I was giving him his flowers, but it kind of bit me in the butt because it was the complete opposite. So yeah, I really was giving Mitch his kudos for once in a while. That one time. That one time. Yeah, any other time, probably wasn't.
Just a little bit too Mitch. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit too Mitch.
Yeah, because I started it by saying, I'm trying to remember. I said something to the effect of, you know what, Mitch, I'm proud of you. Because I remember at one point you were saying, you know, you weren't attracted. When we were on the honeymoon, he was like, I'm not initially attracted. Like, that was the thing. Everybody knew. Kristen told us it was a thing. But I saw him come full circle and it seemed like they were in a good place. So I was like, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, you didn't know that was going to open up a whole can of worms, did you?
No, I didn't. I did not. I've learned that a lot of things that I say open up a lot of can of worms. So I've been doing a lot of self-evaluating. And I know it comes from my background in mental health counseling because I kind of process things differently than others. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to typically be the type to where it's just like, oh, okay, that's what they're telling us. That's what we're going to believe. I've never been that way. So for me, it's just like, what's up? You know, is the door open or is the door closed? You know, don't have my girl sitting here thinking that you coming back and you never come home, you know, because me and Kristen are very close. We've been close since the very first day that we met. So that was a time I was being defensive. Like that was a time where I really wasn't giving Mitch his kudos. I was genuinely like, what's up? Because you're not going to keep playing my girl right in front of my face. So, yeah.
Yes. But speaking of that, you know, while we there, when she told you that he didn't wear his ring while he was on his trip, or when you found out he didn't wear the ring on his trip, was that something that you girls like, girl, they ain't flying because that's your girl?
I think I had mentioned it to Mitch. I said, I think we went on a double date because I think that was right afterward. I had said, why didn't you just tell him that you were married? You didn't have to tell him the story. You could just say, I'm married. Nobody's gonna be like, how, who, where, you know, like, and if you say I'm not comfortable, like, it's like, Mitch, you have the opportunity to say certain things where it's just like, okay, forgive Mitch, you know, that's just who he is. But when it comes to a time where you can stand up for your wife in this moment, you chose not to. You chose to be silent. That was kind of weird to me. So I told him that. I said, hey, Mitch, you could have just said I'm married and that'd be that. I don't know. So I confronted him directly. I didn't say much to Kristen.
That's the same thing that we were like, you know, when we watched it, like, it's very easy to say, you know, I didn't want all the questions. Don't field any questions. Just say, I'm married, period. I got a ring on. And I mean, if it's somebody you want to tell about it, that's fine. But you don't, well, I don't know. But Mitch is different. And, you know, I guess we felt like you, like, just say I'm married.
Let it ride.
Real easy.
Real easy. Another thing I wanted to bring up was another big issue with you and Justin was you going out every weekend to the club.
Mm-hmm.
and going every weekend and leaving him at home while you went out to the club. Were you clubbing every weekend?
No. I mean, did you see I did watch the reunion, so I know that they did play that part where I said, this man has been lying about everything, y'all. He sat there, he agreed. Like, yeah, I have been lying. He didn't say nothing. Right. But that was one of the big things that it was an untruth. It was not accurate information. I think I went out maybe 2 to 3 times in the 8 weeks, one of which was with him. No, 2 of which was with him. Because we went on a double date with my best friend and his girlfriend. And then we went to a neo soul type night on a Tuesday. But other than that, no, I was in the house playing video games with him. We were building forts. We were grocery shopping. I did not go out every single. There was one night I took him out and I literally had to drag him out. I said, babe, I have work in the morning because he worked from home and it was a Sunday and he was having so much fun to where I said, babe, we have to go home. You know, like I'm dragging you out now. So no, I did not go out every single weekend. It's an untruth.
Got you there. You know, let's get to the retreat, the resort. You know, you guys at the resort, everybody's there for Lindy, and then you're there for the Lindy, and then you know what we see is that you and Justin had a good time, and therefore to come to comment again, as many viewers would talk about throughout the season, you talking about what he cannot do, or you can't unbuckle a bra, or you can't snap my shoes correctly, or as you guys were coming back home, that your thrust game was off. You know, those comments, people like, you know, that you kind of put comments throughout the whole season, kind of, I don't want to say emasculating him or talking.
That was a word that I keep getting asked about. So I'm pretty sure that's the word that was used.
Yeah. You know, how did you feel about that when you watched it back, or your family was telling you like, Lex, did you really say this man thrust game was off? Or did you really talk about
So my family and friends, they know me and they never even mentioned it. So I had no idea that it was even a thing because they were like, that's just Lexi. Like Lexi, like, and you know what? The more I heard about it, the more I was like, dang, you know, I shouldn't have said that. Why did I say that? You know, I regret saying those things because I can see how they could be emasculating, but they were never meant in that sense. It was roast to romance ratio. Like I wanted him to call me and say I had big kneecaps and a big forehead. You know, like he asked me early on not to say jokes about him and things like that. So that was me like twiddling it down. So yes, I definitely could have left a lot of those out. It wasn't to emasculate him in no ways, because at the same time, he was the one who brought up the conversation about his meat from the beginning. The first 3 episodes was about his meat before I even mentioned him. So if it wasn't the elephant in the room, they wouldn't have kept asking me about it, you know?
Right.
So a lot of the times I was just answering questions that were asked. That wasn't my intentions. I do apologize. I have apologized to him for that. But I can see how that can be perceived in that way.
You know, we get to decision day. When did you know your answer? You spoke to your mom close to decision day. When did you actually know your answer leading to decision day?
I think, I don't know what day the decision, I don't remember what day it was actually on, but I know like a day before, like I had typed out like a whole little, it was longer than what was on there, but I typed out this whole little speech and I didn't have a yes or no at the bottom, you know? And then the day before I literally sat down and did like a pros and cons list, like old school, like, you know, what can we grow on? What can we work? You know, I talked to him, we kind of imagine our lives together. You know, we started looking at places and stuff together. And I was like, I want to do this. So it was really probably like a couple days before, like it was real close. It was real close. I couldn't say no more than a week of me saying, I'm going to officially say yes. Like I was like 80% for a while, but the actual yes didn't come to a few days before.
How do things go south so quickly on decision day?
It's kind of hard to say because I know that you guys only saw a brief moment. So I think there was a conversation, I know that there was a conversation in between the two, like what it was transmuted to be. There was a conversation in between that made Justin feel away, and he was kind of taking it out on me continually, like from that time. It was just a different conversation, and then it led to kind of like a tit for tat. You said something mean to me, I'm gonna say something mean to you, and then we were both mad, and we started the cycle all over again. So I think it was just, I know for a fact it was a different conversation that we had that the viewers weren't privy to.
Because honestly, as viewers and a lot of us, I'm included. I'm gonna be the truthful. We felt like if she got talked out of it that fast, then she wasn't really in it in the first place. But having you share with us that there was much more in between there.
Well, there was between decision day and that last cookout when I asked for a divorce, there was a couple days. It wasn't a night. It was days. Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it was I was leading with love throughout the entire time. Like I was saying yes out of love. And then when we got into the argument, not even off the grounds, logic started to kick in. And I had to focus on logic because when I was making that pros and cons list, the pros did not outweigh the cons. My love for Justin outweighed the cons, you know? So when I took a step back and I said, Lex, what's really in front of you? Put your heart aside, because I hadn't been doing that. It wasn't something that I could continue to be a part of for the rest of my life.
Because, you know, in your letter, you kept saying time. Give us time. Give us time. Give us time. And I was reading between the lines. You like, okay, let's see what this looks like when everything is gone. Yep. Let's see what this looks like when we don't have call times. We don't have this. We don't have that. And it seems to us, to me, I'm as a man, I'm just being a man. All right. And I'm not going to talk about anybody else. It seemed like it was, he didn't get the time picture or the time statement, meaning that you didn't want him. It was like, let's give it some time. Let's work on it. Let's wait. Let's see how things go. Let's maneuver. But he wanted an answer right then and there because he had poured his heart out. He's given Maya away, and he wanted the definite 100%. But
so that was a big thing too. That's why I kept mentioning the time, because he was saying previously with the Maya situation, if I would have known you weren't fully for sure, I wouldn't have given away my dog. And to me, I was just like, oh shoot, I didn't know that it was like, because I gave away my dog to my best friend, you have to stay with me forever. You get what I'm saying? So I didn't want to make the same mistake twice where I wasn't clear before he gave his dog away to Maya. You get what I'm saying? Right. So this time around, I was like, let me be clear as I can be. I am saying yes to time because I want to see where this goes. Like you said, without the call times, without everything, that's what I was trying to convey to him. It wasn't to say I'm not saying yes to you because I have no problem speaking up. We've seen this. I talk a lot. So if I wanted to say no, I have all the capabilities to say no. I was genuinely saying yes because I wanted to be with him. I wanted to see what life looked like. And then I kind of felt a smack in the back of the head when we went right back to the beginning. It felt like, you know, of us arguing again right after. So then I kind of felt played, like he was just trying to put on a facade just to get past decision day. And then I was just like, dang, we right back at it. We moving 5 steps back. So it was a lot of emotions in a short period of time, once again.
Do you think you guys could have worked it out? If that argument had not transpired and had happened, do you think counseling and all that, you guys could have worked it out?
No, I do not. Actually, because that argument wasn't the argument that made me say no. We actually got into another argument at the cookout.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So we got into another argument at the cookout, and it wasn't really like a huge argument. It was just like a simple, like, what is it? Show me once, shame on you. Show me twice, shame on me, or whatever, like that. So we were at the cookout, and the cast were just talking about, hey, it's our last night. Let's all just go out for drinks together. And I was like, sure, where we going? You know, and Justin looks at me and says, you're not going anywhere. You didn't ask me. You're not allowed, you know, like, you're not allowed to go out type of thing. And like, we know that was a problem about me going out and things like that. And it really was this moment to where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I've been played. I can't do this my entire life. You know, like I felt like it was just personally, I felt like I was being played. And I was just like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And that was the argument that we had that really kind of just broke the camel's back.
Wait, before you say, wait a minute. Hold on. We're going out as cast, as every, and I can't go.
He said, if you go, I am going home back to my regular, like his real home, not his cast home. He's going back home. And I was just like, I can't live like this. You know, like I can't live like this. So.
That is completely understandable. Again, yeah, like, no, you're not gonna, and being the strong, independent, you've been single up until this point. You know, I go where I go. I mean, obviously,
and it was like you were invited too. You know,
right? It's I'm not going
like, I can't take it. I can't take another minute. And I had to. It may have been a rash decision because I apologized after that because I was embarrassed of how I kind of just flipped the switch. I was very embarrassed. I don't think anybody should have been blindsided like that. So I was apologetic for that, but it was never a sense of I needed to get back. I made the wrong decision. It was more so, don't nobody need to be treated like that. You were raised better than that, Alexis. So yeah.
So it was that I'll say this. You're from the church. So I'm gonna say it. Controlling spirit that you realized that you saw that you like. Okay, look, you try to control. Had you seen that prior to that point? Had you?
Oh yeah, several times.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you guys seen it as well. His
saw,
tears being one of them.
Yeah, we saw. I think I did a video on it. Like there's a little bit controlling spirit where it's kind of like even with the club. I want to control some atmosphere. Not that we want to have a discussion about it. That I'm going to try to in this area. I want to dominate. I'm not going to talk about in this area. I want to be the head. But in this area, I don't want to lead. I don't want to lead it. But in this area, when it comes to looks and appearance and how things should be, I want to be controlled here, not necessarily in this area over here.
Yeah,
you nod and yeah, like yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
I
mean, he admitted it. He came to terms with it. He said at some point that I realized that I'm controlling, and I was like, look at God, So he knows it too. So it's not just me. Whatever. I feel like if you pay attention, you can see it.
Yeah,
you can see that. Then you guys
fear-based control too.
A little fear-based.
Yeah, because he didn't want to lose me.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of made it harder for me to be upset with somebody who was controlling because they didn't want to lose me. Because it's, you get what I'm saying? Like it's like it's kind of an odd position to be like you're mad because he doesn't want to lose you, but it's like upon the terms that you're trying to not lose me as. So
right,
because I think he wanted the ideal of marriage. He wanted to really be married, and that was one of the things his brother spoke about. He really wanted to be married, but it was. I think sometimes, not necessarily him. I think sometimes when people want to be married, they have an idea what marriage looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it doesn't fit in that idea or fit in that box. It is hard to get to that place or see if you could ever get to that place.
It ain't.
Marriage ain't bed of roses every day, right?
Yeah.
It's not one of those things. You're gonna have discussions, arguments, and conversations. Some days you may not like each other, and then that's a given.
I've experienced that.
That is a given truth. And there's some days you're gonna like each other, right? And then there's some days you're gonna love each other. But again, what overcomes that love of that marriage?
But that goes back to what we said earlier, and that you mentioned. In this 8 weeks, you're not gonna be able to see whatever ideal that you're looking for anyway. In the 8 weeks, it would take beyond this process to see if we can get to and you might not never get to that ideal, but we can get close. But whatever you envision in these 8 weeks, it's not going to be there. But you, like you said,
I think it's showing though. It's revealing because if you see some traits that are just a no-go,
yes,
it could be 8 years. You still ain't gonna want to be there. You get what I'm saying? So it's just like, everybody kept saying time. Maybe you give up too quickly, and it's like, but if I've seen enough,
Right, but and my comment wasn't even so much for you, but like for Justin, like say, like what my husband was saying, if he had a picture of the way it would be, like you're not necessarily going to get that in this 8 weeks. So,
but
Justin was a firm believer that we just needed time. He just wanted time. He said, "Give me time," and that was a thing. So he agreed as well. I'm sure he'll agree with y'all.
Yeah, but if you saw something that you didn't like or you think couldn't change, I mean, I'm down for the fact that, you know what, it's something that I can't get past. It's something that, you know what, I don't like. You're not going to talk to me this way, or the behavior that is not going to change. It's been too many instances, or been too many situations. You apologize too many times, and vice versa. He might have seen some things. You know what? I'm not going to get past this. I'm not going to get past it. You did X, Y, Z too many times, and this is kind of toxic for us. And we keep coming running back. Did both of y'all felt that with, like, when the dust is settled? Did you realize that both of you realized, you know what, it was toxic?
I think I did more so than him because, yeah, I think I did more so than him. There was a lot of times where I was asking, well, how can I improve? What can I do better for you? And he couldn't give me a solid answer, which was kind of hard for me because I wanted to know, like, tell me, I'm not perfect. I know that I'm not perfect. So then in turn, it just looked like I was complaining a lot about him. When in retrospect, it's really just like, no, he just didn't have an answer, you know? So was I supposed to just stay in silence as well and be like, nope, nothing's bothering me because nothing's bothering you. And then we never get anywhere. Right. So I can definitely see how elements of our relationship did seem toxic. But I think in real life, it was just two people who were passionate, and we were on two different sides of the spectrum. He was very sensitive and he was passionate. I'm very in your face, just kind of high energy, and I was passionate as well. And we would bump heads in the middle somewhere all the time.
Yeah, got you. And as we get ready to wrap this up a little bit, you know, you guys were passionate, came back to the reunion, even when you saw some of the compassion that you had for him when him and Nate got into it a little bit, and you were there in the middle, calming him down a little bit, as if you still are the voice of reason for Justin. Were you shocked by that side of Justin?
That's what I was going to ask.
No, I've seen that several times.
Okay. So you saw
I said it. You know, it's funny because it's just like I'm always shocked with how people, like, it's kind of giving me insight into the show the more interviews I do, because I'm just like, how didn't y'all know that? You know, like, I'm just like,
we saw it there.
You know that, you know. But no, that's why I sat there perfectly still, because that wasn't like news to me. I've seen him like that on several occasions to hide. I said that very early on, and nobody knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, you did. I remember saying you said that.
You
said that, and I told my wife, I think I said, there's something inside that he's holding back, that he doesn't want people to see or reveal. There's something that's there, that there is a different side. I'm not saying that. I think most men have that side that's there, but I think we said when he came home and watched and saw how the portrayed was, that when the reunion came, that's not me. You know, that's not who I am. Even though Nate was poking. All right. Nate
was very much poking, yes.
Yeah.
I'm not giving Nate a pass because Nate was poking a bear. All right. Nate was poking a bear on this situation, and Justin just had enough. But you was compassionate and you was there trying to, you know, calm things down.
Can I say this though? Yeah. Because like you said, it's giving you insight into, you know, what viewers saw in there. It really did. A lot of us felt like when he went there, it's like, oh, he's overcompensating. He saw himself, and then he's trying to prove how much of a man he is. So that's insightful for you to say, no, I know, I saw that before. Yeah. That's why I could be like,
yeah, I would continually say, y'all see the tears. I see, you know, tears and then some. So, I mean, I never held it against him because, you know, I sticked around and I still was trying to help him through that moment. But it wasn't a surprise to me. That's all I'm going to say.
And I'm glad you said that, because it reminded me of my other point that I was going to make. And then, you know, also being a mental health counselor, that an emotional person is extremes.
On both ends.
Yep. So
if you're that sad and you're crying and you're that emotional on that end, there's a different side that looks completely different.
Absolutely. In the same person.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Working in the mental health field like I do as well, how much did you diagnose in your relationship? See, I was going to wait to the end, but I work in the mental health field a lot, and I find myself diagnosing people prior to things. So, so how much did you diagnose?
I didn't do it till the end. I didn't do it till afterward. To keep my sanity, I did not do it till afterwards, and I have a full, I have a full outline. Talk to me offline, and I can tell you exactly.
Okay,
but,
we'll talk off after this. We'll talk offline. Don't worry.
Yeah, we'll talk offline. Just stop recording, and I'll let you know. But okay. It wasn't until the very end because I wanted to see him for who he was, and sometimes, you know, in our field, that you see people as a diagnosis, and he was always my husband. So I wanted to see him as my husband. I didn't want to see him as anything else. So I did not. I did not diagnose him until then.
With a whole outline.
With a whole outline. You know, here's another question, and as we wrapping up again, did you go to Justin's apartment?
Okay, so yes, I did. I did, but it wasn't. So this is the thing with good old Mr. Hall. He can misconstrue a lot of things, you know. Even with I think you guys have seen the Nate situation where you know he thought that was Nate hitting on him. You know, he thought, you know, a lot of things weren't what they were. This was the time we were trying to be friends, and I never at any point said I wanted to get back together, see how this goes. I said, hey, we can still be friends because I'm not used to anything less when I have somebody that I'm in love, you know, I've loved and I've been with. We're gonna be friends. I shared my body with you, you know, like that's weird. So in whichever case, it was more so like, yo, what you doing? I'm down here. We're going hiking tomorrow. Come on. He was up playing video games and such, and I'm like, I'm coming over. And I came over to hang out. And he doesn't tell the story to where I slept over and nothing happened. So it's like you opened the door. You know, like you insinuate all these things, and it's like you open the door. I came in, I slept over, we went to sleep, we woke up, we went hiking. You get what I'm saying? So it's like you take this little bit of the story and say, she came to my house drunk. Okay. And then what happened, Justin? So that was another one of the moments afterwards where I'm just like, we can't be nothing, you know, we can't be anything, because if this is what we're gonna do, then I see where this is going. So yes, I did. It wasn't for the intentions of trying to seduce or otherwise, Justin.
Got you. Have y'all seen each other since the show? And is
not since the retreat? No, we have not.
And is the divorce final? Is finally divorce is over with?
I filed the paperwork. I filed the paperwork, so it's in the motions, but it's not final as of yet.
Got you. I got you. So as we wrap this thing up, what is next for Alexis?
Oh, Alexis is tapping into her fashion. I heard that a lot of people don't know my social media, so I'm just going to shout it out real quick. It's Alexis Grace W on Instagram, Alexis Grace Williams on TikTok. I am giving you guys insight into my fashion, self-love, positivity. I really want to show who I truly am, because I think it got misconstrued and misinterpreted a lot. Yes. And the thing about it is, for me, it's just like, okay, fine, just come and meet me. I can change your mind. You know, it's not my intent, but you're going to be like, dang, that's crazy, because I thought, you know what I'm saying? So I'm really kind of just putting myself out there. I'm not hiding. Me and Kristen have some projects coming up together, so stay tuned for that as well. I've been traveling a lot, making a lot of money, you know, healthy, blessed, loved on. You know, I'm dating again. That's interesting. But yeah, it's a lot. You'll see me a lot more, especially, you know, I'm not gonna tell you everything, but you'll see me a lot more. I'll tell you that.
You're dating again. Do people recognize you from the show, or the people that you're dating don't even know anything about the show?
Half and half. It's kind of a red flag if they know me from the show, because I'm like, golly, you know, like, you know. Because then I feel like I got to rebuild, like, okay. But then it's just like, well, you like me, you know, you're interested, so you might have liked what you saw. But at the same time, it's kind of like a lot of people have a lot of, like I said, preconceived notions, to where it's just like, no, you know. And then some people feel like they can force bond with me by talking bad about Justin. And I'm just like, that's not happening over here, baby. Right. I ain't talking bad about that man. So it's kind of weird. It's very weird, but it's back to the streets nonetheless.
Would you do it again if someone asked you to do it all over again? If they had a Married at First Sight redo, would you do it again?
Oh, for sure. I probably was. Yes, I would, for sure, without a doubt. I would. I think knowing what I know now, both as a viewer standpoint and learning from my mistakes, I have so much growth that I can bring to the next person. And my second husband is going to love the mess out of me, and he is going to be rewarded with the most grown and mature woman that he's ever met, you know? So yeah, I would definitely do it again.
Again. And my question I always ask cast members.
Let me tell you something.
You keep saying, "Cat, wrap it up."
I'm about to say,
We got more player wrap paper at this point.
You got more closings than a preacher.
I'm a preacher. No,
Take
your time, Pastor. Take your time.
I'm done. Go ahead. You finish. You done.
Oh, I just wanted to say how much I appreciate you joining us, agreeing to this interview, because I really do have a better understanding and appreciation for Alexis, because like I said before, you know, some of the show, I walked away like, I don't know. And so I want to thank you. And I'm genuinely like, I really like, you know, she ain't that bad. She's not that bad. She's pretty cool. She really is. And not that I thought you were the worst, you know, but you know.
You don't even got to explain. I already know. And that's the good thing. I appreciate you and your words. But that's the good thing about being consistent and knowing who you are. Or I ain't got to prove myself, you know. Right. It's either you get on it or you get gone, you know. And I just feel at this point, if you have a certain feeling about me, you may be missing your blessing, because I am a joyous person. And it's sad that people didn't get to see it, but I get it. It's fine. I know there's greater things in store for me. You'll see my personality a lot more.
I like it.
Don't worry about it. I cut all the smoke. I was they called me an Alexis apologist. I cut all the smoke.
Thank you.
I caught the smoke every week for all my viewers and everybody out there. I caught the smoke every week, but nonetheless, I did it. But as we get out of here, Alexis, once again, thanks for joining us. Thanks for answering our questions. Thanks for being candid. Thank you for just being you, being who you are. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, thanks guys in the chat. Make sure you continue to hit that chat box, and make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. The chat was jumping tonight. We appreciate each and every one of you. Also, again, make sure you follow Alexis on Instagram. Once again, give your Instagram handle.
Alexis Grace W.
Make sure you follow, give her a follow. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and have a great night.
Thank you.